Welcome to part 2 of this build series. I'm building this clean and simple corexy printer. The heatbed in my build is 214 by 214, and all of the parts I'm using are coming from old printers. I'm not buying anything new, or at least almost nothing new. And I'm not trying to sell you anything, I just want to inspire you to do your own build. I started out on this build with just a drawing on a napkin, but that wouldn't work, so I had to do a CAD model. It's not 100% complete, some hardware is missing, but all the main components are there. One major difference from the previous video is that I decided to change the rear bed mount. This bed mount is similar to what I've been using on the large printers, on the RIFF220 and the RIFF900. I've also added a nozzle scrubber. This is a more detailed look on that rear mount. It's very simple, just a bearing inside and this spacer. And the extrusion will then move up and down, but not sideways. It's nice to have a large 3D printer, and in this build I really used it. I made those large side panels in the skirt of the printer. And this is a 0.8mm nozzle, so it's pretty rough, but that's just fine. I kind of like this look. I even made this front plate ready for the display. So the rest of the parts for this is the original Voron parts. It's just the housing I'm printing here. I'm printing a housing for the SKR Pico, and this enclosure will be at the top back of the printer. Moving on to heatbeds, I have a load of these 12 volt old heatbeds. I'm probably not going to use them again, and I also have some that can be used with 24 volts like this one. Wiring pins 2 and 3, you can use 24 volts. So I'm going to use the old 12 volt heatbed as a base plate, as a passive base plate, and I have redesigned the rear mount as you've seen earlier in this video. And I'll then add the active 24 volt heatbed on top of this with some insulation, and then I'll have some spacers. I believe those are 20mm between the lower base plate and the active heatbed. I'm happy with the result, and the bed mesh is quite good actually, at least for something this old and cheap. I'm doing the wiring, and this one is quite straightforward. I only have a 24 volt power supply and a 5 volt power supply. I could have used a buck converter instead of that power supply, but I did have it already. And there's a SKR 1.4 and the Redesigned 3C single board computer, and the fan cooling the single board computer and the controller board. I'm not wiring this for Instagram, but I would like to keep it quite clean. I've added the remaining cables and connectors and are ready for power on. This is the first power on. I'm looking for smoke. Can't really see any, which is a good sign. And you can see that the red sign is booting. Yeah, that's fine. And there's light in the LEDs in the hot end. And the green light, the Redesigned 3C is up and running. I haven't shown the rear of this printer, but this is the cpap solution and the cover of the electronics enclosure. These are just two very basic 5015 fans, nothing fancy. I could have replaced those with some faster fans, but I'm going to try with the standard fans. The white stuff around the fans, that's power tack. I'm using mainsail in this build, just like in my other builds. I think it's a very nice interface. I had a comment in my previous video about doing independent stepper motors on the Z, and I'll show that in this video. So you need 3 separate stepper motors and drivers, and you'll then go into the printer config and define stepper Z, stepper Z1 and stepper Z2. And they have to be in this order: left front, rear and right front. You then need to define the section for Z tilt, where you will write 3 positions for Z positions, just the pivot points, and then the probe points. I'm using 10 millimeters for the horizontal move value, and that's just because I'm fed up with scratching PI plates. This is the Z tilt function working, starting with the front left. It will then move to the rear center, and then to the front right. After it's done this probing, it will do a correction and then repeat for as many times as you have defined in the Z tilt section. I'm doing my absolutely first print, nothing before this. I just wanted to see if this printer was extruding at all. It seems to work, and at least the extruder moves in the correct direction. I've since added a PTFE holder to secure this reverse Bowden tube. And this is the finished print. It doesn't look that great. I can see some lines and some other artifacts. These corners, they're not sharp, and yeah, there's some ringing. But this is the first print just off the printer without doing anything at all. At this point I remember that I hadn't even tensioned the belts, so I have to do a little bit more work until I get acceptable results from this printer. At this point I decided to redesign the rear bed mounts, as I found it to be moving too much sideways, sort of fishtailing. So that's what I did. I don't know how important that was, I just wanted to do it. After tensioning the belts I moved on to calibration. And this is the max volumetric speed test with the default settings from Orca Slicer. And there's a tutorial in the slicer, so it's very easy to do this in the right sequence. One interesting thing about this was that I didn't max out with the settings. This is max 20, which is not enough to reveal any problems. The print is nice, but the max value should have been 30 and not 20. I'm then doing the pressure advanced calibration, and I'm using the simple tower method. This takes some time, but it's very easy to read the results, and so far it's not too bad, but it's going to deteriorate. At this point I could have aborted this test because I passed the point for the optimum result. You simply then measure the distance from the bottom of the print and up to the optimum point and use the formula in the tutorial. Next is doing the flow test, where you compare the surface of each of these prints. I decided to go for -0.3. I wanted to do another test print, and this one is quite a bit cleaner. The corners are sharper. It's still not perfect, but it's much better. It's a little bit of elephant foot. It's too close to the heat bed. I can adjust that. I'll then do the input shaping. I'm using a portable input shaper module using USB, and that's connected to one of the ports, USB ports on the Redesigned 3C. You can actually hear the resonances during this test. That was X. We are moving on to Y. There's pretty significant resonance around this point. And one here. And then it's falling off quite rapidly. We'll be given some recommended settings for input shaper, and we enter that into the printer CFG like this. I didn't bother to reprint anything after doing the input shaping. I wanted to try out some very basic cpap solution in this build with some standard fans. Tried it out, not very scientifically. Borrowed a bowl from the cat. This is the Dragon Burner with two 4010 fans. And this is the custom toolhead with the cpap 5015 fans. If I wanted something more spectacular, I probably should have gotten a 7040 fan. I then have to return the bowl to the cat. She will soon figure out that I've stolen it. The printer can move quite fast, and I haven't really tried the limits for acceleration yet, but I will do that. And this is the result. It's slightly out of focus, but I think it's okay. I'll then do a benchy, and this is by no means a speed benchy. I'm printing this quite slowly. I want a decent result. Not interested in seeing a lump of melted plastic. And this is alright. I think the cooling is good enough for at least the kind of printing I'm doing, but no speed benches. I now have the lineup I would like to have, and I don't think I need anything more, at least just now. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.